Trump's furious reaction to Facebook's action showcases that he is, I'm sorry to say, the InfoWars president.
CNN's panel of totalitarian wannabes is setting the table for the ban of President Trump's social media presence.
Trump is doing this because he needs people to believe that Facebook is against him and that Facebook is biased against him, because that's the only way that he has the space to operate on Facebook. And so if they go after InfoWars for misleading content, if they go after Milo, if they go after any of these folks, he's going to be next. And so that's why he's doing that, because he needs to be able to draw he can't let them draw a distinction between what InfoWars is doing and what NBC or CNN or any mainstream media organization is doing.
Even though what we get from InfoWars is conspiracy theory crap.
Well, these are very extreme individuals, and no matter what anyone tells you, they are extremists, and that's why Facebook decided to get rid of them from the platform the other day. And back to your point, though, about the InfoWars presidency, I want to know, and I tweeted this the other day, what is the difference at this point between Trump's Twitter feed and Infowars.com? You know, Infowars might have been banned from Twitter, but it seems to have found a new home over at Trump's Twitter feed. And while he's promoting and legitimizing this news organization, we should also talk about how he's trying to tear down credible sources for news, the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN.
And while CNN hides behind the Facebook is a private company so we can censor free speech, regardless of the First Amendment excuse, does that mean Facebook can violate any and all of its users' Bill of Rights? And what about CNN, who has systematically targeted the president over a false collusion narrative?
Speculation actually has value, too. It helps open our eyes, helps open our minds to what's possible. I know people like to mock cable news in moments like this. It's an easy punchline, right? We are kind of standing by to find out what the news is going to be, waiting for AG Barr to tell us something. But that does have value, too.
Targeted Trump-supporting teenagers in D.C.
Where were the chaperones? Why did a school event involve MAGA hats? Then we get to the heart of it. The face-to-face encounter. The man, Nathan Phillips, apparently wanted to diffuse the tension, and he walked up to do exactly that. And surely the kid, Nick Sandman, he doesn't seem to be afraid, but he did make a choice, and that was to make it into a standoff.
Even in the case of the Covington school, I guess what I would have wanted was for them to maybe, be disciplined in some way by their school, and then there'd be some sort of reconciliation, right? They would apologize and for whatever part they played in it, and Nathan Phillips could apologize for whatever part he played in it. There could be some kind of reconciliation. But the truth of the matter is, in the current climate that we live in, that was very naive of me. The punishment is going to be that you are going to have this following around for the rest of your life.
And openly targeted tax-paying Americans by supporting Antifa.
You want to talk about Antifa or Black Lives Matter or any of the groups that assembled that day to fight against neo-Nazis, you make a moral equivalent between those two actions, you're making a mistake in America. The president did it that day. And you know it was a mistake. I don't know why you don't own that.
No. Chris, you and I have talked about this before. I do not make any differentiation between neo-Nazis and Antifa. Just because they claim in their name that they are anti-fascist, their tactics are, in fact, totally fascist.
One of the
people
groups
who
was
put on
created to kill people they don't like. The other group,
and so was
Black
Antifa.
Lives Matter,
Antifa
has hangers-on and aberrant actors within their ranks. But the groups were not created to destroy parts of humanity.
Explain to me the reasoning behind fighting. You have to make it so unpalatable to be doing white supremacist organizing that they no longer want to do that. And historically, that's what's worked. You have to put your body in the way, and you have to make it speak in a language that they understand, and sometimes that is violence.
They are America's brown shirts, and there is no difference between Antifa and those neo-Nazis. Both sides are thugs. Both sides are reprehensible.
Antifa, a communist-leaning organization hell-bent on the takedown of the United States.
Kamau Bell is, among other things, a host on CNN. He fronts a show on that channel called United Shades of America. It's run there for 2 seasons now. Bell calls himself a political provocateur, but that doesn't quite capture it. In fact, he is a supporter of Antifa. So we couldn't get a response out of CNN, which is a little odd for a news organization to refuse to comment about something. Is this within bounds, though, for one of their hosts to be addressing a rally like this filled with people in black masks, Antifa, through a bullhorn.
Let's be clear who Antifa is. Obviously, they're a group that even Nancy Pelosi has denounced. Laura Ingraham on this network has suggested they should be labeled a terror organization. Berkeley's mayor has called them a criminal gang. So this is not a group that you want any network host within 1,000 yards of at a rally addressing. There's a hard and fast rule at every news organization, Tucker, and that is that hosts cannot, or journalists or reporters for that matter, cannot attend rallies or speak at rallies that its newsroom may be covering.
Is there anything we can do to stop what is amounting to full-blown treason, occupying televisions across the United States? Why, yes. Yes, there is. 18 U.S. Code 2385, advocating overthrow of government, reads, whoever knowingly or willfully advocates, abets, advises, or teaches the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing or destroying the government of the United States by force or violence or by assassination of any officer of any such government.
As a former government official, government's going to kill this guy.
Whoever with intent to cause the overthrow or destruction of any such government prints, publishes, edits, issues, circulates, sells, distributes.
Chris, the way you edited that segment that you showed just before this was appallingly misleading because you cut the quote off at a critical juncture. If you continue the quote you were showing, and I want to quote directly here because I want to be extremely precise. He said, you had people in that group who were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. He then continued in the next answer, I am not talking about the neo-Nazis and white nationalists because they should be condemned totally, end quote. So he was unequivocal that he was not talking about racists or neo-Nazis, but the way you deceptively edited what you just showed
there's nothing
made it
deceptive
look
about
as though he was.
All right, so Rob.
Or publicly displays any written or printed matter advocating, advising, or teaching the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing or destroying any government in the United States by force or violence.
Oh, Nazis can't! There is no national Antifa group. It is mostly made up of people who are far left of center, who make it their mission to battle fascists, racists, and alt-right extremists. Behind the masks are people from all walks of life, artists, moms, ordinary Americans, as well as anarchists.
But one of the interesting things that I found in doing this reporting, what's really surprised me, is that we found that a lot of these new Antifa members, they're young people, disenfranchised young people who felt that they were let down by both parties after the election, and this is where they ended up.
Why hunt these people down? Like, what is your goal? To expose them?
Exactly, because no one's paying attention to them, and sooner or later, they're going to be your police officers, they're going to be your politicians, they're going to be your teachers, they are going to be people that you cannot touch, and I don't want that to happen.
Now, that sounds awesome, right? This guy's basically working to expose them by doxing them online.
Whoever organizes or helps or attempts to organize any society, group, or assembly of persons who teach, advocate, or encourage the overthrow or destruction of any such government by force or violence shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. Patriots, start your engines. Let the treason trials begin. John Bound reporting.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Cognitive dissonance is a major issue amongst the left. It can be very stressful dealing with facts you refuse to accept. If you have a family member suffering from this degenerative mental condition, buy them a bottle of Ultimate Fish Oil from InfoWarsStore.com. Studies have suggested that fish oils and fish oil supplementation can slightly lower blood pressure, decrease triglyceride levels, decrease the growth rate of plaque, and provide a soothing reduction in inflammatory inflammatory responses in joints and the digestive system. Recent studies have suggested that high EPA and DHA fish oil can stimulate immune function by increasing the concentration and activity of immune cells. Perhaps that family member or friend's mind is shorting out with leftist fantasies due to a lack of the supplementation found in Ultimate Fish Oil. It worked for my family, and now I can have a logical and calm discussion about actual facts that pertain to reality. Get your Ultimate Fish Oil for a friend, family member, or yourself at InfoWarsStore.com.